Here at Wildfire, we're still working on Dave Taylor's 25-foot Bertram IO conversion. We went ahead and built all of the seats that we had mocked up. Dave came up with some sizes that he wanted. And so we made our temporary molds and built 4 seats for it. I went ahead and did all my finish work on them and got those all painted, but now we need to make all the lids for the seats. They're 2 odd sizes, so I went ahead and laid up a couple pieces of angle aluminum with foil facing on them on our Formica table. We just have some curbs that we use. We cover the aluminum tubing with air conditioning tape, the foil tape. It works very good when you put wax on that. The pieces pop off nice and clean. And we just measure those to the sizes that we need. And then some divider pieces that I just cut regular piece of marine plywood, scrap plywood that we have, and put a piece of tape on those and position those. Make sure everything is nice and square before we lay it up. And then we just go ahead and put a filler around the edges before we put our gel coat in. I use a glazing putty, and I'll just go ahead and spread them through all the corners and up any of the side corners that we have. One good thing with the glazing putty is it dries really fast. As soon as I get done with all my curbs, I go right in and mix my gel coat. Once I get the gel coat all painted out, the gel coat takes a while to dry, even in this kind of heat. So we have to go ahead and let them sit for a while to make sure we don't get any blisters or bubbles. Now the gel coat's dry, we'll go ahead and lay these up. I'll paint the entire piece with resin before I put any fiberglass in it. If you wet it just from the outside, there's a good chance sometimes it can be dry layup on the inside. And you might lay up a really nice piece, but the entire face of the gel coat could peel right off because it doesn't have good adhesion. Our first 2 layers will be 1.5 ounce matte. The reason we do that is because it adheres very well. We can push it in the corners really deep. It'll also take up any imperfections from brushing the gel coat. Then I go ahead and resin the backside as well. I know for sure that piece of fiberglass is saturated. And then I put my next layer on. It's going on a wet piece of fiberglass. I wet the backside again. After that, we transition into the 1708 biax, and that we use because it adds a lot of strength. If I put my glass down with the shiny side down, I get a good adhesion there, and it leaves the rough side up, which will give me good adhesion to my core. And then we go ahead and wet the core as well, so that when those 2 get together, there's plenty of resin between the 2, and that gives us a chance to go ahead and get our last piece on without having to weight it down and then wait and then have to go back after it dries and add the final layer. This way we can get them all done in one piece, one time. After laying up the one hatch, we went ahead and laid up the second one, which is basically identical. We do the exact same thing. Because we use that smooth Formica and we use a mold release wax on everything before we lay these up, they come apart very easy and slide a wooden wedge up and it pops right off the table. They're already glass smooth, so you basically just have to do some shaping, and if there's a little imperfection here and there or a pinhole, you take care of that. But other than that, these parts are ready for a final sanding and then paint. So once we get these painted up, we'll put them on the seats and mount the seats on the boat. And then the only thing we have left to do will be to non-skid the floor once we have everything set.